Hey, I'm Ellie, and in this video I'm informing you about conventional animals such as dogs and fish and how they are also neglected and abused by people because they didn't do proper research on how to take care of them, or because they didn't realize what kind of responsibilities came with the animal when they first purchased them. So for some reason, whenever there's a holiday, people like to buy pets that correlate with that holiday. Usually on Christmas, a lot of people like to buy dogs, and on Easter, a lot of people like to buy rabbits or chickens. Unfortunately, though, these people like to buy the pets without realizing the amount of responsibility that they are given with this pet. They like to keep the dog inside until they realize that a dog bites or pees on the carpet or destroys your things, and then it ends up being put outside on a leash, and sometimes that will end up being all that the dog knows because people will keep them on that leash their entire life, or people give them to a shelter, or sometimes they will shoot them, or a lot of the time they will bring them out to an unknown location and drop them off, which, especially if the dog is aggressive, can be harmful to not only the dog but to other people that might come in contact with it. So that is a very lazy, selfish way to dispose of your pet. There was this lady who had gotten a dog for Christmas and then decided that she didn't want him anymore because the dog ended up not matching her kitchen anymore, and so she wanted to get a new dog for her new kitchen, which is not only a ridiculous excuse but a perfect example of one of the many people who are an uncommitted owner to a pet and honestly should not have one. Dogs are actually the most common victims of abuse, accounting for 64.5% of all documented cruelty cases that are media reported. Another animal that is neglected or accidentally abused a lot is a simple goldfish. Goldfish are probably one of the most overlooked animals because a lot of people are like, oh, it's just a fish, it doesn't matter. And then there's the debate of whether or not they can actually feel pain or not, or if their memory lasts longer than 3 seconds. But no matter what your stance is on that, you need to realize that they are living, breathing creatures that deserve just as much respect and that should be taken care of in a proper way. When people decide that they don't want their fish anymore, one of the most popular ways of disposing of it is flushing it down the toilet, which is actually really harmful to the fish, especially if it is alive still, because the toilet will actually sting its gills and it will be a very painful death for the fish. And even if it makes it past all the chemicals of the toilet, the sewer is no place for a fish to live. Another way people dispose of fish is by dumping them in ponds, which is actually really harmful to the ecosystem around it because goldfish actually thrive in ponds, and so you will actually hear about a lot of cases where goldfish have overtaken the native species of a certain fish in ponds. There's a story about it in Canada. And the other thing is, if your goldfish has a disease and then you put it into a pond with other fish, those fish might get those diseases, and then we eat those fish, and then we get that sickness from your goldfish. So next time there is an unwanted fish in your possession, do not dump it in a pond, do not put it down the toilet. The best thing to honestly do is to find somebody else who will take care of it, or donate it to a school or a nursing home. Just do not take the lazy, selfish route of dumping it in a pond or sending it to a very painful death in your toilet. Another example of a pet that people abandon a lot is the Burmese python. I'm sure a lot of people have heard about how the pythons are completely taking over the Everglades in Florida, and this all started because people didn't realize how big these snakes were going to get, and then when they got too big, they decided to abandon them out into the wild, and now these snakes are completely taking over this ecosystem. So not only did these people screw with an ecosystem, but there have also been cases of people being killed from these snakes When you're dumping your animal off someplace, it might seem like you're giving it a chance to live or you're being humane, but you don't realize the effects that it can have. So when you get a pet, you need to make sure that you are going to commit to a pet for its entire lifespan, that you are not going to take the selfish, lazy way out of getting rid of it if you choose to. There is nothing wrong with getting rid of a pet if the circumstances call for it, and if you did the proper research before it and you knew what you were getting into. I understand that there are situations where you need to get rid of your pet, but if you're just being lazy or decide that you don't want to take care of it anymore, then you are not somebody who should be buying pets. Animals are not novelty items. They're not an item that you can just stick in a place and forget about it. They are things that need constant care and commitment. And if that's not something that you are able to give your animal, then you should not have one and you should not get one. There is an abundant amount of improper information that is out on the internet, and so you need to make sure that you find reliable resources. You find reliable breeders, because there are a lot of breeders out there that just want your money and they actually don't care about the animal's well-being whatsoever. Relying on information from just one person or the breeder is not a good thing, because you need to go out there and you need to go on multiple sites and figure out information for yourself to figure out what is actually accurate. And choosing the right pet for your family is also very important, because the amount of money it costs, the amount of food it needs, the amount of attention it needs, the amount of love it needs is something that must be in check before you even think about bringing an animal into your home. There are so many things that catch people by surprise because they don't do the proper research before they decide to get an animal. Never ever impulse buy an animal. Always make sure that you have a vet that can take care of your animal in case of an emergency situation. Make sure that you can own the pet you want in your city, state, or apartment building so that you don't get it and then have to get rid of it right away again. And know that you will commit to your pet for its entire life. As I said, I understand that there are certain circumstances where you're not able to, but do not take the lazy way out, and be truthful with yourself before you buy your pet. It is not fair to the animal or to the rescues that you abandon them to. So for more information about how to find a reputable breeder or reliable websites, or you want to learn more about my pets that I have or products that I use, you can go check out some other videos that I have on my channel. Thanks for watching.